In this video, we're going to take a look at using the terminal. So as a programmer, tester, software developer, or data scientist, you need to be comfortable using what's referred to as your computer's terminal on Mac OS and Linux, or the command prompt in Windows. Now, for simplicity's sake, in this course, we're going to generically refer to the command prompt and the terminal simply as the terminal or terminal. Now, the terminal is an important utility in your computer's operating system that allows you to issue text-based commands and complete tasks such as navigating through your computer's file system, creating files and directories, connecting to remote servers, and running programs. In fact, the terminal is so powerful that you could literally take an entire class focused on studying the different commands and functions that you can use in terminal and still not cover everything in that one class. So in this course, we will primarily use the terminal for running some Python programs and starting our Jupyter Notebook IDE. But again, it is a very important concept to understand in computing, and it's a very worthwhile skill to develop. So your terminal command line prompt will look different depending on either your operating system or your shell configuration. So again, to keep things simple in this course, we're going to use the generic $sign prefix to indicate all of our terminal commands. So anywhere in the text of this course or the videos that you see the $sign symbol, that is what you will be putting into your terminal. That'll indicate commands that you're going to put into your terminal. Now on the Mac operating system, to open up terminal, you want to navigate to your utilities folder, and you should find it in there. Alternatively, you can use Spotlight search by hitting Command spacebar on your keyboard and simply typing in the word terminal and hit enter. On Windows, to open up terminal or the command prompt, you go down to the start menu and type in CMD. Alternatively, you can also open the run prompt by hitting Windows key R and typing in CMD to open up a terminal or command prompt. Now, when you're working in terminal, you're always going to be working from some location within your file system. That is, the terminal prompt is actually sitting inside of some folder that may or may not contain files. Now, when you first open up terminal, you would typically start from what's called your root or home directory. To find out where you currently are in your file system in terminal, you'll type the following commands, and you'll notice here commands may vary whether you're on Windows or Mac OS, so I'm going to go over both of them. Now, if you're in Mac OS, you want to type in pwd and hit enter. On Windows, you'll want to type in cd, and that'll show you where you currently are. You can also move around and navigate your file system by changing directories using the cd command, and this applies both to Mac OS as well as Windows. So let's move into our desktop folder using the following command. We're going to type in cd and then the word desktop and hit enter. And again, the same thing here in Windows. And so now if I check what my working directory is, I will see that I am currently on the desktop. Now, to move backwards or out of a folder and into a parent directory, meaning up a folder, we'll simply add 2 dots to the cd command. So we'll type in cd space ... And again, that's the same on Mac and Windows. If we want to see a complete list of all the folders and files contained inside of a specific folder that we're in, we'll want to type in the following command, which is ls on Mac, and dir, which stands for directory, on Windows. And you can see here that it shows exactly these are all folders or directories within the directory that we currently are in. Now let's go ahead and move back into our desktop. So I'm going to type in cd desktop here. And I want to go ahead and create a folder, and this is going to be the same on both Windows and on Mac. So if I want to make a new directory, a new folder, I'm going to type in the command mkdir, which is make directory, and then let's call this folder new _ Python _ folder. I'll do that here both in Mac and Windows. And so now if I type in ls or dir, I should see that we have this new folder created here. So you can see new Python folder, and the same thing here, new Python folder in Mac. Now it's important to note that in programming, we use a variety of different naming conventions and case styles. So we'll use what's called camel case, Pascal case, snake case, or maybe what's called kebab case. Now, we'll discuss many of the most common conventions and case styles, starting with snake case. So snake case refers to the specific style of writing where we use an underscore character in place of spaces. Additionally, the convention dictates that the first letter of each word be lowercase. Now, this is a very common naming convention in general computing and in Python specifically when naming files, folders, variables, and functions. And that's what we just did when we created that new folder, new underscore Python underscore folder. That's considered snake case. Now, in general, it's not a great idea to create new files or folders with names that contain spaces. Spaces can create problems for us down the road. So to avoid this issue, and you'll notice that a lot of programmers just out of habit don't use spaces when they create files or folders. So to avoid this issue, we're going to use underscore characters to represent spaces between words in files and folders. This is also convention when we name variables in Python, but we'll discuss that more later. So now that we've created a new directory, let's move into that directory using the cd command again. So let's go ahead and type cd and then the name of the folder, new Python folder. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. And let's now create a new text file in that folder using the following command. So on Mac OS, you want to type in the word touch, and then we're going to give a file name. So this will be new underscore text underscore file dot txt, which is the extension for a text file. And then on Windows, we'll type in the keyword echo, and then a period, and this gets a little weird here, a period and the greater than sign, and then the file name here, which is new underscore text file. So you're seeing there are some similarities between the Windows command prompt and the Mac OS terminal, and there's also some differences in terms of the commands that we use. So again, depending on which operating system you're using, these are the commands you want to make note of. So after creating a new text file, we can edit it using the following commands. So in Mac OS, we can use what's called the nano text editor. So type in the word nano, and then we'll type in the name of our text file. So new text file, and then hit enter. And that will actually open up the nano text editor here in Mac OS. And then in Windows, we type in the word notepad. Since we don't have a text editor built into the command prompt, we'll actually open up the Notepad app by typing in notepad and then the name of the text file that we created. So go ahead and hit enter there. Now let's go ahead and add some text to our file here. So I'll just type in the word test. And you'll notice that the nano editor has opened up directly in terminal. And there's a series of control key options at the bottom of the screen. For example, the little up arrow there signifies the control key on your keyboard. So for example, after typing some text in here, if we want to save the file, we'll go ahead and hit Control X, and that will bring up the option to save, and we'll hit yes to save. And then you can see the file name comes up to confirm that, and we simply press enter here to save that file and close nano. Alternatively, if we're doing this in Windows, we can type in some text there and then simply hit save in Notepad, and we can close out that file. Now, if we were to open that file back up, we should see that text in there. So if I type in Notepad again and new text file.txt, you can see our text is in that file. Another little suggestion here, and this applies both to Mac OS and Windows, if you ever want to just run the previous command in terminal, if you just hit the up arrow, it will actually recall your previous commands, and you can keep hitting up, and it will actually cycle through all of the commands that you typed in before. Now, if at any point in time you want to clear your previous commands out and just get a fresh screen here, if you type in the keyword CLS into command prompt terminal here, it'll clear everything out. And in terminal in Mac OS, if you type in the word clear and hit enter, it will do the same thing. Now, before we move on to creating our first Python program, let's go ahead and confirm that we do in fact have Python installed as we did before. So the command we used there was Python /version, and this is going to be the same for both Windows and Mac. And you'll notice here that in the case of my Mac operating system, I have an older version of Python 2.7 installed, and then we have, at the time of this recording, what is the latest version of Python installed in Windows, which is 3.97.